go. So how did you choose the features?
That's a good question. Basically, off of those who are active right now, number one, in the music scene, number two, that I have connections with, and those also who I feel would fit the style of the beats that make up the beat tape album.
And the artists are all Minnesota based?
Yes, okay. So kind of, sort of. So everyone is like has roots in Minnesota, but there is one artist who's originally from St. Paul, but is living in Brooklyn. And then there's another artist on there that I don't think they are originally from Minnesota, but lived here a long time, built an incredible name for themselves as a producer and rapper here, but is now living in, I believe, Colorado.
Okay.
So, but everyone else,
Yes, Minnesota. Stand up. For real, like, I mean, you know, I feel like unity would take a lot of artists here a long way. So, just trying to push that whenever I see the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think your last project was Temple of Enigma?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell them about that.
Temple of Enigma was my baby. It's like my first EP that I ever really put out into the world as an independent solo artist. And it's only 5 tracks long. Once again, all of my production and my lyrical contribution to it. And there were 2 features, Thomasina Petrus and Jamila Pettiford. So... was that it? I think those are only 2.
Yeah, keeping it simple.
Keeping it simple. I came from a really weird place with Temple of Enigma though, because I really wanted to get myself out as like a beat maker, but I'm also super interested in like the business side of music, and I'm very overprotective about my musical works, and so that's why I like at the last minute decided to throw lyrics onto it, even though I didn't take the time to really like. Right, I shouldn't be saying this as I'm trying to like promote my own project. But I did that. Yeah, it is. It's raw. It's real. But I did that to actually protect the musical work itself. Even though I did release the instrumentals with the actual EP with the lyrics on it, I still wanted those to kind of come out at the same time to push my ownership. And really go through the process too as an artist and what it means to protect my work. And, yeah.
Because this really is a business too.
It really is.
Yeah. Like, and you can pay your bills.
You can pay your bills off of this if you want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the side that a lot of artists like don't necessarily want to have to deal with. They don't want to deal with the business, and you can't blame people. It's like that's not the fun side. The creative side is the fun side, where it's like, you know.
But I mean, hey,
3% of the work.
You don't want to work a job, you know. If you don't want to do something on the side, you want to really make this your life. Like, I think a lot of people sign up for art and are like a music career, not knowing that. You know what I mean? And then they get into it and it's like, oh, like I need a team. Yeah. Or like I need to really be on it, like doing everything myself. And it's not just like, oh, like I made a song, like the next thing I know I'm... Right. You know what I'm saying? Beyonce or the biggest artist, like, that's not how it works. So.
And on top of that, it's like, you have to also work on perfecting your craft, which is something I will continue to work on too, especially now that I'll have more time going into the next year. I'm really looking forward to that. But you have to perfect your craft. A lot of people also don't realize that some of these main artists that they see, like a lot of these rappers actually play instruments. They actually like are perfecting their craft and they're working towards that on a regular basis. And so that not only strengthens their music, but gives them another leg up when it comes to the credits of the compositions that they're making. So these artists are putting in work that a lot of, you know, other people don't.
The credits.
Yeah.
I used to wonder how Kanye keeps bouncing back. And it's because he's behind everything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't discount the man because he's produced half your project. Yeah. Shit, you know? Yep.
And people can do that too. You know, you got to start somewhere. Just pick up a skill and just continue to work on it. And if it's your vocals, then work on your vocals, you know. Yeah. I used to say all the time, like, Mariah Carey still takes vocal lessons to this day,
right.
you know, so any artist who practice. I mean, money is a thing too, and I get it, but there are resources, especially for artists here in St. Paul, Minneapolis, Minnesota. There's a lot of, you know, help for artists who want to perfect their craft.
Speaking of those resources, can you talk about Frogtown Radio?
Absolutely. I am not, but I've actually been thinking recently. WFNU. Shout out Frogtown Radio.
Yeah.
I want to go back because I feel like I have unfinished business to do.
That's a resource though, right?
It is a resource.
Yeah. What other examples could you give?
Yeah, so I teach part-time at a nonprofit called In Progress that is on Front Street in St. Paul, and they are like a pillar for folks. Like a lot of artists, probably even in your fan base and y'all watching, have probably heard of In Progress. If you haven't, you've heard of an artist that have crossed In Progress at some point in time on their path and their journey.
Huge.
But yeah, it's definitely a resource for community members. You can, you know, rent equipment and, you know, just join groups. There's free workshops. I'm trying to think like what other. I know there's a lot more resources. I know that they're out here. They're out here through grants.
That's what I was about to say.
You know,
like, money is such a huge resource.
It really is.
Like sometimes we think about music. We think about like videographers or like recording studios, but just like money, like grants. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, can you point us towards anything like that?
I mean, there's a good place on Springboard for the Arts website.
Springboard for the Arts.
They actually have a website that will link you to different grants. And you could just use that as a wormhole to look up more. And even if you don't know how to write a grant yourself, partner with someone who does know how to write grants. Mm-hmm. Just because you can't write it doesn't mean that your idea can't be taken.
Done one?
I have gotten a grant before. It was a while ago. And I've tried for one grant ever since then, to be honest.
It's hard, huh?
It's hard. Well, it's just time consuming.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of writing when you're doing it by yourself. So I get, you know, why people would be intimidated. But yeah, I won a small Pell Grant way back in the day.
Yeah.
And put on a showcase at In Progress, speaking of.
Yeah. That's why it helps to have a team, because then you can break it down, like you do this part, you do this part, you do, right?
Mm-hmm. And then everybody come together, go through a review process, like go over and over again, get other eyes, like find other community.
Like, right? Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I used to be confused, like what motivates me? And then I realized, like, while money can be like corrupting, at the end of the day, it's a tool, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We can't deny that money isn't power.
Right.
It absolutely still is. It will always be, even if the face of it changes. Mm-hmm. What we call money, what we call currency, is always going to equal power. And so, while you shouldn't like fantasize about power itself, you have ideas. Like we have ideas as community, as artists, as local artists. You know, partner with other folks to bring those ideas to light and go after grants together. Who said you have to go as a solo artist? Like, go after it together. Like, it's possible.
It's definitely possible. Talk to me about. We were talking about a team. I need a videographer. I'm just gonna chop it out. Talk to me about. Talk to me about purse candy.
Purse candy was a great time.
Yeah.
That was 2020. Was that during the height of the? Yeah, that was during the height of the pandemic. It was a series put on by Sophia Aries and DJ Keyzy to kind of bring attention and light to Aunties, which is the first, from my understanding, the first Black-owned venue. I'm not even sure if that's still happening. I don't really know. I think it is.
I felt confused about that as well. I'm not gonna lie, but I saw that you were part of Purse Candy. Well, how did that go down? What was your role? Did they reach out to you? You know?
Yeah, they reached out to me through Instagram.
Okay.
So
straight up,
you know, it's amazing to me how many gigs I've gotten like through social media, like more so Facebook. And it's just like you would think, like, I mean, like organizations that have money, like that my email address is provided and they'll go to social media. But anyway, yes, it was through Instagram.
Something to be said there.
Huh?
There's something to be said there.
There really is. I mean, it's still like the number one place that people are going to. I mean, I know TikTok is that's upping in numbers, but then again, things, like way different. But anyway, yeah. So they reached out to me, and yeah, it was a good time.
Okay.
It was a good time.
Cool. Oh yeah. I think shows are starting up again, right?
I think yes, Erykah Badu was here, so something had to have started.
Yeah. And there's like obviously different levels. Like there's like local shows up to like the Armory, right?
Right.
Can you just speak in general, like about your perception of shows, specifically hip hop or rap shows, in the Twin Cities?
My perception of hip hop.
Because you've played a lot of shows. Like you've played Soundset, right? Like yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you know. So break it down for us. What's going on here for someone who doesn't know?
So I personally have seen a clickiness nature with shows, hip hop and rap based in Minnesota. And me, I try to keep my doors open and work with anybody who's trying to work. Yeah. But I notice in certain circles, those same organizers or audience will be the same for every time they throw a show. But there is no like crossover of people's, target audiences for whatever music that they have. We should be showing up to everybody's shit. But at the same time, I do understand that we're in Minnesota. So it's cold half the year. So people want to throw shows when it's warm. Yeah. And so we're like doubling and tripling up on weekends. So that makes it hard too. But I do notice the cliquey nature. I also noticed a lack of opportunity for artists of color. More opportunity for artists of color. And after George Floyd, I guess that's opened up the eyes of white-led organizations to open their doors more so for pressure than trying to actually make a change, I believe. So I hope that it holds up, but we'll see with time as time goes by.
Do you see population shifting, like to be more black people in Minnesota, or is it like really just staying white, in your opinion?
I definitely think there are more people of color pouring into Minnesota.
Okay, you kept that broad. I like that. Yeah.
Yes, but I do also believe there's a lot of capitalism and money being poured into certain industries that are bringing in folks that are not of color in positions in which they're making money hand over fist.
Yeah. Off of like things that would be considered traditionally black culture, in my opinion, like hip hop and rap.
That too. I was thinking way more broadly than I should be, I guess. But
that's fine. I think maybe we should go more broad, because I also reached a point with this podcast where I was like, hip hop and rap audience is kind of small here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is. So yeah, can you elaborate a little bit more then? Like, tell me what you're thinking.
I mean, if we're talking about industries expanding and Minnesota being a place where, even when it comes to our laws and the culture that's here, it's like people are pouring into Minnesota, right? So the audience members that are going to live shows is more diverse than it's been. It's very specific to a certain age demographic. And that is going to broaden the opportunities for artists that are here to be able to tap into these different groups and subcultures. So there's plenty of opportunity. Yes, hip hop and rap might be a small niche, but yeah, I'd encourage you to expand that, because Minnesota is going to be changing, and not to say that, you know, there's not people of color that wouldn't be interested in anything other than rap music, you know, that are coming into the United States and Minnesota. But
tell me about Dilla Day.
Dilla Day, the most recent Dilla Day was a all-female roster at the VFW in 2019, I want to say. Maybe it was 18. Gosh, it's hard to tell the time these days. But I was fortunate enough, now I've been in like Dilla Day beat battles before, but I was fortunate enough to actually like DJ for one of the artists that they were bringing in, which was the Raw Digga. And like to back, and I just thought I was going to be playing like a little set during the show, and then the organizers like told me like, no, like you'll be backing Raw Digga, and I'm like, what? It was like, I've only been DJing for like 5 years, and I started off radio DJing. Yeah. Like, how did I get here already?
How did it go?
It was amazing. Yeah. Like, to be honest with you, at first I was a little bit nervous because one, I'm dealing with a legend who grew up during like the birth time of hip hop. And so the way that turntablism has changed over time is not the same. No. And there's way more things that you can do with like electronic DDJs that you can mimic the same feeling as like, you know, vinyl. And so when she was asking me like, you know, to do a specific effect during certain portions of her set to basically like give her breathing room, she was like narrowed in on an idea of, you know, what she's used to when it comes to DJing and DJs with vinyl and scratching. And at first I'm like trying to understand, and I could see she was getting frustrated. So I'm like, you know what, instead of me trying to like do what she's asking of me, let me take a step back and be like, okay, what she's asking of me, how can I mimic it with the tools that I have? I flip it. Yeah. So as soon as I did that and we did like a quick rehearsal, she's like, yeah, right there. What you did right there. I was like, okay. So I just had to listen to my gut and understand that, like, you know, one, this is what she meant. And two, I'm dealing with someone who, you know, doesn't have time for someone who doesn't know what they are doing here on stage. Swim, right? Yeah, sink or swim. So after sound check was over and done with and the show actually happened, it was phenomenal. Yeah. Like, she killed it. Like, I killed it for her. Making sure I gave her that breathing room that artists need during like a 30 plus set. Like, you have to really know. And that's like one of my favorite things about DJing is backing other artists versus like playing to a crowd. Like, I like playing to a crowd, but I really like backing other artists and being there for another level of support. Yeah,
it's huge.
It is huge, and the show with Raw Digga like helped me to understand that in a whole new light. And yeah, it was beautiful. She killed it, and afterwards she was like, kind of wrote a little thing on Instagram. She's like, "You did your thing, my good sis." I was like,
"Hey, that's legendary."
All right, like, it's okay.
Yeah, like I would use that as like our album art insert, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's legendary.
It really was. Yeah.
I remember I met Dilla's mom at Dilla Day. I was like, what?
Same. She's a sweetheart. Be a roadway that will help bring more equity into the local arts community, specifically for BIPOC artists. More like a pathway, if you will, because I don't want something to be one and done because I did it and then it's over. Like, if anything, other people could use the same model of a pathway to build something similar that will also allow, opportunities and financial stability for artists that are here. So that's really like what's at the heart of, the goals that I have over the next like 20 years.
Yes. And I think you're in a position now and like putting yourself in an even greater position to do that. So yeah, that makes total 100% complete sense. I think I have a better thought of what I was thinking before. Yeah, so if you can get yourself in a position like at the Current or like with NPR or like at one of these institutions, and then I feel like that reach back would be even stronger, right? Yeah. Have you thought about that? You've thought about that?
Yes, because we only have 24 hours in a day, right? And I was in a very toxic job position during like all of 2020. And it wasn't until I got out of that job that I was able to really reflect on my life and the importance of the work that I'm putting in during my day. And what is that going towards?
Those 24 hours.
Those 24 hours. So, yes, without saying too much, I have recently got into a job position that so far has allowed me to help other artists.
Oh.
And
I'm not aware. My bad.
No, it's all good because I shouted them out earlier. Yeah. So Springboard for the Arts.
Oh, you're with them. I didn't even know that. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's total night and day as far as what I've been used to. Yeah. It's night and day.
Okay. In a good way?
Yes, in a very good way. I mean, until this point, I realized like you really don't have to be working a crap job that you are not happy with and that like takes up all of your time. Like you don't have to stay there. There are other options. Yeah. There is another way out. Like even if you have to go without for a little bit, even if you have to deal with less than what you might be used to, just to get to a place of like peace and zen. Like I didn't realize I was so unhappy in the other job until I'm like, why am I so happy all the time now? Wow. This is how it's supposed to be. This feeling is how it's supposed to be. This type of freedom is how it's supposed to be. But most people, I understand, don't get that. And I've never had that up until this point. And so now it's breaking, these chains in my mind even further about what I can do and further what I can do with my time. So, yes, I've thought about that to answer that original question. It's amazing how life experience and situations will shape your thoughts to a point where it keeps you captive. But you have to push yourself for new experiences, push yourself towards the direction you want to go in life. And then as you do that, you'll see those ceilings being shattered with every new experience and every new turn that you take. Yeah, so the album is called The Constellation. Make sure that you follow me on Spotify or YouTube, whatever your preferred platform is, because as I release these, you'll already be in line and tapped in for when the whole album drops. 10 features. Here it goes. I'm trying to remember it all. Yeah. Obviously, I don't remember it all, but Katana the Don, Nucky, Juice Lord, Nakara Forge, formerly known as Solo Star.
Nakara Forge.
Amadi, KPW.
Nice.
Ikwe, formerly known as Kelsey Pyro.
Okay.
Tish Jones.
Wow.
Desdemona.
Wow.
Hannah Savano, just Savano, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Savano. And Soul Reflect.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
So, and when is
It drops March 2022.
Okay, that's what you had said, yeah.
Mixed by, I mixed the beats.
Yeah.
And then there was actually like a lot of collaboration going on. So Tech with Ill Studios mixed everything overall.
Okay.
But as these individual artists like sent me their vocal tracks, which is not, I don't know how normal this is, but as they sent me their vocal stems, they were working with different engineers who were sending the sample, because they were like, do you want me to send the raw cuts or the mixed version? And I'm like, send me the mixed version. I'm glad I said that because it just brought the project to life even more.
Okay.
Because these engineers that worked with some of the individual artists were able to do things mixing wise that I probably wouldn't have had time to sit and like really like think about and like use my imagination to like bring it to light. And so like with Vinnie Crooks, I think he worked with Oracle Uno, Desdemona. I can't remember the name of the engineer that she worked with that brought her ideas to light, but he was the one who did it with his skills and his techniques. And so you'll hear that on the track of The New Subconscious. So while Tech did everything overall and, you know, kind of stepped up with Solo Stars, mixing, and Savano as well as Juice Lord, there were many different hands at play. So
at first I was like, huh? But now I'm like, yeah, because it's like different flavors.
It's different flavors.
Yeah, different spice.
It is.
Huh.
It's like going to a restaurant that serves a variety of food, not just American.
Okay.
And then that food is like specific to that culture and uses the spices from that culture. So you get like a full round experience from one project.
One project, how many songs?
There's 13 songs,
13 songs.
And then 10 features.
10
so I have an
features.
intro and 2 interludes.
Okay. And I'm sure you got all your ASCAP, BMI situation.
Yes, that's been a nightmare. Like, and I learn with every new project that I do, because I released it by myself. I'm doing all that work, and like when I went to, because I used DistroKid this time instead of CD Baby, and what I did not realize for those artists out there who don't want to pay for the full subscription for DistroKid, just know that you can't set your release date. It's pretty much like it might drop that day. Like they don't give you an option unless you pay for it to have your release date be like in advance.
It's one of those services.
It's one of those, and but they could do better about the verbiage on the website. Like they tell you that it's like you can release it today. So it's like you have to, without the paid version of it, when you go to upload your project, it's the terms and it's an understanding that it'll be released within 24 hours. So I waited until the day that I was going to release the first one, thinking that it was going to be released that day. And it wasn't until I pushed it all the way through, and then in the small print it was like it might be released today on this service, but then it might be up to 2 weeks on this service over here.
So it's almost like you have to be okay with it leaking a little bit.
A little bit.
Just to like meet your release date.
Yep. Unless you want to pay for, which I get why people pay.
Which we're getting to that level too.
Yeah.
You know? But we're balling on our budgets right now. So at least I am.
Yeah. So I would definitely like encourage artists, if you don't have the money to like pay for the subscription when you want to release your songs on these different platforms, like if you're regularly generating music, then like don't rely heavily on like the release date and pushing the date to your audience, but just more so like push like the month in the project. In the content. And your messages behind it.
Did you get all the shout outs on that project? Or just in general?
I think I did. Oh, no. So I have a couple more shout outs for the project that I'm coming out with, the album called The Constellation. I'm working with a local videographer, Tana Osman, who's she's super dope, and doing all the visualizers, because I don't have the money to like do full music videos. So I got a couple visualizers. One that's out right now, one that's coming in a couple weeks, and then a third one that'll be next month.
Yeah.
As far as the cover, which no one has seen before, was done by an artist named Colby Swanson. So my brother took the picture, which if y'all are gonna follow me after this or look at my social media accounts, you'll see I have a crown on. And that photo was taken by my brother, Chris McDuffie.
Oh, yeah.
And then we took that image and Colby did like a water painting behind it. It's super beautiful. I'm excited.
And you're at the level where you're spending your money.
I'm spending my money.
Yeah.
I always spend my money.
Yeah.
When we collabed, you know what I mean? Like that was out of my pocket.
Yeah.
Because I'm a hard believer, and it's like you can't expect anyone else to invest in you if you don't invest in yourself
Eventually
first.
you will, though. You know, like I feel like you got a sponsor on the way. You know what I'm saying? Like
you better speak that to existence.
I'm saying, like
I believe it too.
Some Vice or Noisy or Red Bull. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just something that's gonna work out. I feel that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Same. Appreciate that.
Of course. We gotta speak our blessings into existence.
Yes. Power of words. I say it all the time. Power of your words.
Put ourselves on the path, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
See the end.
Absolutely.
I'm excited for you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Especially with this big news that you just told me too. That adds, like I said, another level of reach back to it. Word of advice to the tiny little audience that I have on this page.
Yeah, I would definitely.
No pressure.
No pressure. Yeah, that is a lot. I try to keep things simplified. I would definitely say. Life is going to always come with ups and downs, but you have to know that you can have what you want on this earth if you just believe in yourself a little bit enough to match your actions with your words of where you want to be and where you want to go. And it doesn't matter what industry you're trying to go into, it'll work across the board. Believe in yourself, speak it into existence, and then your actions will line up.
Start a fire.
Start a fire.
You're the spark. Sounds like something that I've said before too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Can you shout out to Staring at the City and just say whatever you would like to say to wrap up?
Shout out to Staring at the City. I am grateful to be here. Stay blessed.
Peace.
Peace, peace, peace.